It's January 25th, Sunday, like 11 a.m. It's like the big, Jersey snowstorm going on right now. And I figured since I was doing this mostly on Sundays, I'll do maybe two songs today. This is song 3. It's called Report Suspicious Activity. If you've been following along with this story that's still developing in my head, this is song 3. So far we followed Willie the Vegan as he got booed off the stage at the comedy club, and then he started meditating in the middle of traffic on a major highway, and then he began to levitate in midair. So the story gets a little weird. Now we introduce the villain of the story. It's like an artificial intelligence robot newscaster who takes the place of the real human newscaster on the news and begins to beat the war drum. Song 3, I said it's called Report Suspicious Activity. I just thought it was a funny title. Sometimes you're driving, at least when I was driving to work on 295 in New Jersey, you would see those like billboards or whatever on the side of the road, report all suspicious activity. It's like, what a vague statement. Like, what does that mean? If I see like a naked dude walking a dog, does that warrant calling like 911? I don't know. It's just a weird thing to put there. This is a rap song. The first song was a rap song. The second song was like a trippy, psychedelic, more of a sung melody song. But I'm doing every other track as like a mix, kind of a mixed bag album. Well, it's only two different genres, but yesterday I worked on a lot of songs, and the psychedelic ones are definitely Flaming Lips inspired. A lot of them sound like Flaming Lips melodies, but Flaming Lips, they sound like all kinds of stuff too, so it's kind of all over the place. But yeah, this one is basically, if I would make this into an animation, that's what it would be. The villain of the story is just an artificial intelligence robot newscaster. Like, I think there's a movie out right now with like an artificial intelligence judge. Like, those will be the days that maybe in 2 generations we'll see, where doctors are robots, lawyers are robots, judges are robots, politicians are robots. Maybe not everything, but when AI can make better art than humans, because at that point, the only thing human beings are going to be making art about is how AI is taking over their jobs or whatever. So people will get sick of that pretty quickly. But I don't know, it's always like that. If robots were around during the Renaissance and stuff, would Michelangelo and all those people be obsolete back then? They're stupid thoughts. But I've gotten fooled before on Spotify. A couple years ago, I found this jazz album that I really liked, and then it disappeared. It was very generic with a stupid cover, album art cover, and I believe it was just artificial music, because I could never find who the artist was. So I think I got fooled by whatever they call it, fake music, artificially generated music, whatever you call it. And that was in my head this week, because I think Bandcamp, if you use that service, they ban that type of stuff. I didn't read, I was supposed to read this, but I didn't read about it yet. So maybe I could give, as of January 2026, Bandcamp has officially banned music and audio content that is generated wholly or in substantial part by artificial intelligence. So that's pretty cool, I guess. Bandcamp seems like the best option, not to put other places down like Apple or Spotify even. because they do kind of give more money to artists. So I try to buy stuff off of Bandcamp mostly, but I still use Amazon, and yeah, I still use Spotify all the time. I use Spotify for podcasts just because I'm used to it right now. And when I wrote my book, all of my playlists that I put to like as you're reading my book, you could listen to music. All those playlists I created were done through Spotify because I've used it for the last decade and I'm just so used to it. But yeah, that's pretty cool. I thought it was an interesting story. The Bandcamp this month officially banned music and audio that is pretty much the majority created by artificial intelligence. I don't really know what that really means. Like, it sounds good, but I don't really know what it means. I guess people will make music just with, you could really poop out like an album of beats and techno stuff like that, drum beats, drum machine, and just have it all computerized, and you don't have to put any creative thought into it. I guess that's what they're talking about, that they don't want to promote that stuff. But how do you really know? I don't know. I guess I could read these articles and find out more details about it, but I don't feel like doing that right now. But that kind of goes along to what this song's about. So this would be a pretty laid back, jazzy rap song. I haven't been listening to rap music lately. I don't know, I haven't listened to a lot of stuff, but if you look at my Substack post of my favorite albums of last year, it's like all ambient and instrumental for the most part. There were a couple bands that I follow with, like Wet Leg. I really like Wet Leg. The only rap album I had was the Billy Woods, because somehow I was able to listen to that one. But I'm sure I missed a lot of good rap stuff. I don't know, I'm taking a break from it, I guess. But the Billy Woods was really good. I listened to it a couple times while I'm walking and stuff. Really, I'm trying to do that more. My main form of exercise is just walking right now. I'm trying to do like between 4 to 8 miles a day. And that's a good album to listen to, Gollywog. If you haven't checked out Billy Woods, it's really good. That's kind of probably what I'm influenced by when it comes to the rap songs on this. And I made a note, because I wrote these lyrics a while ago, but I made a note that there would be a lot of echo maybe on these verses, so it would be kind of like a psychedelic rap song almost. So I'll just recite the lyrics real quick because it's not too many. And I don't know, there's 3 verses, but one of them kind of picks up the pace. The last verse kind of goes quickly. And there was a new term that I've heard before, but I never knew what it meant. And I actually forget exactly how to explain it, so I have to Google it again. The Sword of Damocles. I don't know where I heard it. It might have been in a different rap song or something. So the Sword of Damocles, which is kind of like connected to this, the hook of this song, is a Roman era moral parable about the anxiety of having power and fortune. So it's based on like Cicero and Roman mythology, Roman stories. So it's kind of interesting. King Dionysus. I don't know if the Dionysus thing is connected to like the wasn't that the god of wine and like and luxury or something? I don't know. I kind of remember writing another. Yeah, there is a myth, Dionysus and Damocles, about the burdens of power. So I should probably read about this stuff before I try to reference this stuff, because I can't even really explain it. But it's like, it just sounded cool. Some phrases just sound cool to me. And in a passing, I'll look it up real quickly, and while I'm writing lyrics, I don't want to interrupt that, so I don't really learn the whole story or whatever. But it's the very even worse than a Cliff Notes. Maybe it's partially ADD. Maybe I'm just trying to do it too quickly when I write these lyrics or whatever. But that's basically tied to this as well. Like there is a significant portion of this song that's tied to that anxiety of maybe not so much having power, but power, wanting success, which is kind of similar to that anyway. The quest for not even, well, for myself, not even for, I wouldn't even call it success. I just want self-sustainability, really. That's basically maybe my main goal with a lot of this stuff, to be able to be self-sustainable. That was like the big buzzword since 2020, right? Like live green, live sustainably, where you don't have to depend on anybody else, which is tough to do. I don't think anyone really does that successfully 100%. But there are people that can do that. And they're the people who probably live the longest because they don't have the stress of having to depend on other people or other services and stuff like that. But I try to live as simply as possible. My goal with, if you want to go back to my Kickstarter thing, my goal was to live like that with no, well, I think I would have solar panels as my only source of electricity, but I'd be off the grid and stuff. So maybe that's connected to this still. It's still in the back of my head to experiment with stuff like that. But yeah, I'm rambling again. But I wanted to throw that in there because I didn't know what the Sword of Damocles was until I started writing this song. Somehow it popped in my head. I might have heard it on a podcast or something. And the other thing I decided to do with this album, since it is like a story, every song would be closed by a narrator. I think I mentioned that. The narrator would either maybe discuss the story a little or have some kind of a plot line in some of the tracks at the end, or the narrator would use a quote that I came up with. Like the second song, I picked a Schopenhauer quote, if I'm saying his name right, because it fits so perfectly with the theme of the second song, introversion, conversion. And I didn't mention this before because I came up with it after I did the post last week. And the quote is, "A man can be himself only so long as he is alone. And if he does not love solitude, he will not love freedom. For it is only when he is alone that he is really free." And that kind of goes into the themes of the second song. It's called Introversion Conversion. So I think there is a lot of truth to that. It's like, you're truly comfortable with someone as a friend or coworker or family or anyone, a stranger you meet on the bus, if you can share silence with someone and be comfortable like that. Because there's always like an anxiety in social situations I better start a conversation about something. So it's weird. I think that connects a little bit to my thought process. So for this third song, I did come up with a quote that I found. I'm probably saying his name wrong because I don't know how to say this pronunciation, but I'll give credit to the Duncan Trussell podcast. Duncan Trussell had somebody on. I forget who his name was. I gotta look this up because I want to give the guy credit. Duncan Trussell has a podcast that's pretty enjoyable. He talks to a lot of Buddhist stuff, a lot of philosophers and people like that. And I haven't listened in a while, but I listened to an episode a couple weeks ago, maybe last week. The guy's name was Jack Kornfield, Kornfield. And he's like a Buddhist teacher, whatever. And he was really good. I don't remember the conversation at this point, but it was really good. Just about basic Buddhist principles and how to live without judgment and the mystery of consciousness and all these crazy things. And he quoted another philosopher, from a French philosopher, Apollinaire. I don't know how to say his name. I apologize. But his quote was really meaningful to me, and I think it's pretty well known now. I just never heard it before. Now and then it's good to pause in our pursuit of happiness and just be happy. That's very relevant in my case, like in the pursuit of happiness, which is doing these art projects and trying to make money from them and just enjoying the creative process without thinking about the other aspects of it. It's true, like you get caught up in that game because it's a capitalistic scenario where everything you do isn't deemed worthy unless you make money from it. That's just how you're brought up in a capitalist society. If you don't make money from any of your things, then you're considered not successful. So sometimes you do have to pause. Well, it doesn't have to be your pursuit of happiness, but I think most people want to live a comfortable life. So yeah, you need money, you need security for that. But as you're going along that, whether you're happy with that path or not really, you get caught up in that and you forget what it is just to exist. That's kind of what I get from that quote. Because it's like, oh yeah, now I'm free to I'm free to pursue my path of happiness. And then you get so caught up in the tunnel vision of what success means and how other people will view you as a success or failure based on these variables and all these things. And you forget to just be happy. So, and maybe that's why, yeah, walking outside is a cool thing to do, or running, whatever you do, walking, running. If you do it outside, it's different. Like I shared the Mike Tyson had a good 1 minute, 2 minute quote about that, where he's talking about the spiritual side of just being outside, exercising outside versus just being on a treadmill inside. And I think he's pretty spot on with what he was talking about. But that's basically all the thoughts that are kind of coming out in the lyrics to this song. But I really like that quote. I put a quote in pretty much every song so far on this album, and that's probably my favorite one. His first name is Guillaume. I'm not even going to attempt to pronounce that. His last name is Apollinare. Guillaume Apollinaire. I don't know, man. I'm going to butcher that one. So, yeah, that's probably my favorite quote I found. And it's like, I tried to look up more stuff about him because you want to talk about like synchronicity and stuff. I went to the library like a couple of days after I listened to that podcast, and I got some kind of art book, surreal art or modern art, something. It was like a compilation, and I just opened up to the beginning. The first page I opened, there was another quote by that same guy about like the new era of the Eiffel Tower or something. So yeah, I think he was a pretty famous philosopher in France or whatever, and in that Age of Reason type of thing, even though that was more Thomas Paine. But yeah, it was pretty cool. There was some kind of synchronicity. I never heard that guy before, and then in a matter of 48 hours, I heard his quote on a podcast, and I just happened to open a book, and his name appeared again. So yeah, that's very weird when stuff like that happens. I don't know if I saved that other quote, but it was pretty cool. Maybe it didn't fit this album, so I didn't use it, I think. But it was something about that. The chapter that it was about different interpretations of the Eiffel Tower. Like there was a new artistic movement kind of aligned with the Eiffel Tower. It was pretty weird. I never really thought of it like that. That everything's connected like that. The shock of the New World. I think that's what it might have been. Yeah. So I was reading this book called The Shock of the New World. I did find it by Robert Hughes, and I think it's just a bunch of artwork. Yeah, 100-year history of modern art since like the early 1900s, I think. The Shock of the New by Robert Hughes. And the first page I opened, it was a chapter called The Mechanical Paradise. And it was another quote by that same philosopher, Apollinaire, or whatever his name is. At last, this was the quote. It's more of a paragraph, really. But I think he's talking about the Eiffel Tower and how it was supposed to ring in like a new age of humanity or whatever. So I don't really understand every word to this, but it was definitely worth sharing, I think. So I took a picture of the page when I was at the library. At last you are tired of this old world, O shepherd, Eiffel Tower, the flock of bridges bleats this morning. You are through with living in Greek and Roman antiquity. Here, even the automobiles seem to be ancient. Only religion has remained brand new. Religion has remained simple as the aerodrome hangars. It's God who dies Friday and rises again on Sunday. It's Christ who climbs in the sky better than any aviator. He holds the world's altitude record. Pupil Christ of the eye, 20th pupil of the centuries. He knows what he's about. And the century becomes a bird, climbs skyward like Jesus. So, yeah, I don't really know what he's talking about, but I just thought it was cool that I found this guy twice in like a matter of 48 hours for real. So, but this was more just about how everything connected back then. I never looked at the Eiffel Tower like it was some revolutionary statement or something. I still don't understand why people felt like that. I guess it was just a different kind of architecture that was supposed to ring in a new age of human consciousness or whatever. I don't really know, man. I wasn't around back then. But it's definitely worth sharing. It's something that somebody else could probably explain better than I could. But anyway, these are all the thoughts in my head as I was writing this, and I was exploring different surrealists, and I realized that I really hate certain types of art. I can I can look at surreal art all day. Like I like that, just weird stuff, like the Dali stuff. And I made a list of a bunch of other artists that follow along like that. And actually, maybe there's a French theme to this too, because the one artist I always thought was the coolest type was Henry Rousseau, whatever. I don't know how to say his name either. Sounds like a hockey player. Dominic Rousseau, wasn't he like a goalie for the Flyers? Dominic Rousseau or something like that. But yeah, Henry Rousseau, he did the Sleeping Gypsy, and a bunch of other jungle paintings. So he's definitely the one that I connected to the most. But yeah, there's a list of maybe 20 artists I'm starting to, or I wanted to look into more in depth, because yeah, I hate like the Renaissance art. It's just like naked people, all the naked angels and naked women, it's naked men. Like, I don't know, there's a weird style to Renaissance art. And yeah, it's definitely amazing and stuff like that, but I don't know, it just looks all the same to me. It's very boring. There's some of it that's cool, like the Bosch guy. What's his name? I think he's considered a Renaissance painter. I'll just mention him because I'm not educated on art history, so I don't know what I'm talking about really. Yeah, the Garden of Earthly Delights. Hieronymus Bosch. I remember seeing that one and being like, all right, this dude could. He did this like when? What year was the? I gotta look that up real quick. All right, this dude, The Garden of Earthly Delights by Hieronymus Bosch, and he did that in like 1490 and 1510. I'm like, this is like the first heavy metal painting. It's so cool. This could be like a Black Sabbath album cover, some of the parts of this. So, yeah, that's the type of stuff I can deal with. It's like all those really romantic or Renaissance paintings that don't connect with me at all. But I like the surreal stuff and just weirdness. Like, I don't look for meaning or hidden symbols in art, like that stuff. I just want to see cool stuff. Really weird, odd stuff. It doesn't even have to be on the dark side. Like, the Hieronymus Bosch is kind of a dark depiction of probably Catholicism, I would guess. There's all kinds of biblical imagery about hellfire and lust and greed and all this crazy stuff. I think I tried to look into it more because I really fell in love with that painting. That was pretty cool. But yeah, I was thinking, I'm looking through some of the art books, and like some of these just don't connect with me. But more of the surrealist stuff, I can look at all day. That's the stuff I really connect to. But yeah, these are all the thoughts in my head as I was probably writing these lyrics. And so this is song 3 for Willie the Vegan. It's called Report Suspicious Activity, and I'll end this by reciting all these verses real quick. And I'm thinking each verse will get quicker and quicker as the beat gets heavier and heavier and whatever. And it's kind of like that. Maybe this is like, it's about anxiety in general. I don't think you ever cure anxiety, you just learn to ignore it. The cure for anxiety is to ignore it, because no matter what, the worst thing you could do is just give in to that feeling of stress and like worry. Like, there's no point to that. It's not going to help you overcome any obstacle. It's going to make things worse. So just forget about it all. You know, to a degree at least. There's a thin layer between like not caring at all, like the stoicism versus nihilism, all that stupid stuff. But whatever. Here's the 3 verses. Verse 1. Snow on the windshield, bread and milk on the car seat. Utilize light speed and report suspicious activity. Blood in the beet juice. Too much zest and acidity. War to suit quarterlies. Quarterbacks to rep Disney. One day spoon-fed. Diabolical Dianetics. Worth the long shot to replenish. Maybe overthrow heaven. Or at least attempt to dignify the sentence. So it's kind of a shorter verse, but I would probably do that one even more slowly if I would record this. And I don't really know how this hook would go. It would probably just be more spoken word stuff, to be honest. I don't think I want like any sung melodies in this song, so it would just be more spoken word. And this is the hook. Or call it whatever you want. I never know what to call it. For rap songs, I call it a hook, but it could be a chorus. I don't know. I just because I started doing it like that when I started writing rap songs. I would call it a hook, not a chorus. So the hook of the song is not really a hook because it's not sung, or right now I don't hear it like that. That sword of Damocles, welcomed by some. Teddy Ruxpin on the news, salting those stumped. We all just want control of the show, or at least some telegraphed ignorance to soften the blow after blow after blow. So I think it's cooler to just read it like that. But that would be the reoccurring, repeating hook after maybe each verse. Verse 2, status unconfirmed, identity spurned, synchronize saliva, and report suspicious activity. A citizen of nature, watchman on the take, criticize the winter, left with no response to mitigate, no dog left in the game, the non-compete all the same, names prearranged in restraints, maybe rearrange the shade and let the chaos orchestrate. And I think I'm happy with that phrase. I'm always weird when I use the same word twice, but sometimes it's cool like that. Names prearranged in restraints, maybe rearrange the shade and let the chaos orchestrate. Then you go back to the hook again. And there is a final verse that I did make a note that you should do this one faster, rap it faster. Verse 3, when the screen watches you, cycle, screw, bodies brood, misconstrued avenues, teleprompt platitudes, nothing new on the news, Husker Du, Don the truth, every rhyme, every suit, every facelift dispute, Michael play me some doom, the nostalgia of youth, now the demons can't lose, hit the daylight confused, breaking now as they're breaking down, watch the brief and bait the crowd, to envy plants the simplest spell, to deep fake the night until the sun rebels. So that would be the third verse that would go a little bit faster than the other ones. And yeah, I don't know. I think I like these words. I wrote this maybe a week ago, so I'm reading it now for the first time again. Or it seems like I'm reading it for the first time. And after that, you could go back to the hook one more time. Or you just go right to the outro, which is that the narrator reciting the quote from Apollinaire. Now and then it's good to pause in our pursuit of happiness and just be happy. Yeah, I like that quote a lot, but I think it fits the theme of this one, of this song, and maybe the entire album. Maybe that's the thesis statement. His quote is kind of like the thesis statement of this entire album. And I think that's everything. I did reference Husker Du. Husker Du is a band I'd never really listened to. I thought they were like just some cheesy band. But I really like their one album, Zen Arcade. I listened to it a couple years ago. There's a song called Turn On the News, which is really cool. And yeah, if you listen to stuff from the 80s, like I guess that's because that was the Reagan years. It's like it was the same type of stuff that's happening today, everything in cycles, right? Like it's weird. You listen to Dead Kennedys or you listen to stuff like that song. I'll link that one song because I don't feel like making a whole playlist right now. But I'll link the Husker Du song. I did use it before. I wrote a screenplay a couple years ago, Rinse and Repeat, Part 2, I think. It was a story set in Atlantic City in the 80s about homelessness and a bunch of different themes. And I believe I used that song. I wanted to make a soundtrack with all 80s music, and that song kind of fit, Turn On the News. But I'll link that one song at the end of this post, Husker Du, Turn On the News. Everyone should go listen to that one because it's pretty good. It kind of ties into the theme of this song specifically very well. But that's it for this. I've already spoken for like half an hour. I'll probably do another song since I really have nothing else to do today. So I'll try to do one more song after I post this one and see how that goes.